Okay, by this episode of Ratchet Ass Shit, we're going to talk about this video where apparently a gentleman comes home with a pregnancy test in hand to present, or I should say confront, his woman, because I don't believe that they're married, with the fact that supposedly she's pregnant, but he believes that it absolutely cannot be his simply because he has had a vasectomy. Now, this wouldn't be the first guy who's had a vasectomy and not said that he's actually had a vasectomy. And by the way, I'd like to point your attention back to a couple of weeks ago when the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, which, by the way, there is no right to abortion. Roe versus Wade was actually just an opinion by the Supreme Court that women had the privacy of seeking abortion as a personal health procedure. However, there was no grounds for federal law to say that Roe versus Wade had to be the law across all of the states. See, a lot of you people don't seem to understand your Constitution, or you don't understand the whole point of federalism. The states have their own rights. The 9th and 10th Amendments basically say that anything that the Constitution doesn't talk about will either fall to the individual or the state. But I don't want to get too far into that. What I remember was all these women started coming up with all this bullshit on Facebook and YouTube. It's like, oh, well, if we can't get abortions, then you got to get vasectomies. Now, first of all, there are a lot of men out there who are eager to get the vasectomy simply because they want to have sex and they want to have a carefree lifestyle. And they, as far as I've heard, the vasectomy is actually reversible, and with a secondary corrective surgery, you can reverse a vasectomy. So for those of you who don't understand, a vasectomy basically means that using scissors or possibly some form of heating element, the doctors enter the testes and they cut what's called the vas deferens. In fact, I have a picture I can show right now. So the doctor makes a small incision into the testis, and then he takes a scissor and he severs the cords, we'll call them the cords, that lead from both of the testicles towards the seminal vesicles. You see, sperm cells are produced in the testicles, and they are mixed with other chemical elements and whatnot in order to prolong the longevity of the sperm in the liquid discharge called semen. So ultimately, this procedure, from what I've heard, is not very expensive, and it is recommended to men who want to have sex without the possibility of having children. And as far as I know, it's highly effective. Now, they will say that there's always the possibility, possibly a 1% chance of a couple getting pregnant if a man has a vasectomy. Now, the way I'm seeing it is they're basically on this Jurassic Park nature finds a way shit, where they're basically saying, yeah, if you cut off the tubes for the sperm, somehow the sperm's going to figure out a way to do something. I would say that it's actually more likely that that couple would get pregnant if there's some outside sperm donor, i.e. she's cheating and doesn't realize that the guy had a vasectomy. But the reality is the vasectomy is so effective until the chances or the likelihood of pregnancy is so ridiculously low that it virtually cannot happen. Now, is that to say that it's 100% impossible? There are possible ways, maybe if there's like rogue or leftover sperm cells somewhere on something or something, but it's extremely highly improbable, and it's very, very, very unlikely. So the bottom line is this ratchet ass shit. You got this chick who gets caught cold. He's presenting her with the fact that he's had a vasectomy, and she's immediately trying to deny it, because once you say, oh, listen, I've had a vasectomy, there's no leg to stand on. She obviously must have been cheating. The only way to say that she wasn't is to have a DNA test on the father and the newborn.
Good sense, bro. It don't make no sense, bro.
What is you talking about?
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Don't sit there acting stupid because
what
you sit up.
Talking about?
Bro, this is what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking about.
You not happy?
Yeah, what you mean I'm not happy? What I'll be happy for? What could I possibly be happy for?
Because we're having a baby. What are you
talking about? Listen here, woman. Stop playing with me because you know I got a vasectomy. I can't even have no kids.
So there's virtually no defense, and just by the way she's suddenly getting shocked and calm while she's talking, that basically lets you know that she knows she's been caught. See, women have this thing that they do where when they know that they're in the wrong, all of a sudden they're either trying to switch up the conversation to something else or they're trying to diffuse the situation. But for the most part, being confronted by somebody saying, listen, I had a vasectomy. There's no way in hell that you got pregnant. Not by me anyway. She knows she's caught. She basically knows it. So at this point, she's like trying to play it off. And then she tries to come up with this bullshit amateur living environment / biology nonsense about, if women have their fallopian tubes cut, it's possible for the tubes to grow back and become one tube. It's like, listen, lady, it's like you must think I'm stupid to try to pull that bullshit on me. Come on.
You sound stupid coming in here.
I sound stupid? No, you sound.
Look at her nails.
What you sound like to me?
Cheater?
Yeah.
I only
Who got you
with
pregnant?
you. What are you talking about?
Who got you pregnant?
I've only been with you.
Who got you pregnant?
You.
How? I can't have no kids.
You! Me! Now, you already saw that bullshit. She knows she's caught. Now, am I saying that it's not possible at all that he could be the father? I'm saying it's so ridiculously improbable that it's probably impossible. Now, they could go to Maury, they could get that DNA test, and they could prove me wrong, but somehow I just don't think that shit's going to happen.
I have a whole vasectomy.
You do know after a certain period of time, it can happen again.
No, it can't. My slip. It cannot happen again. My slip. I can't have no.
Now, let me point your attention really quickly to this. Google, can a vasectomy fail? One of the most significant pros of a vasectomy is that a vasectomy is a very effective and permanent form of birth control. Only 1 to 2 in 1,000 men have a vasectomy that fails. This usually happens in the first year following the procedure. It's uncommon, but there are 3 reasons it could happen. Let's read that real quick, because maybe it's possible. I don't know. Nature finds a way. That's what Jeff Goldblum said in Jurassic Park. Vasectomy failures. It's uncommon, but there are 3 reasons it could happen. Let's see. What are the reasons? Number 1, sex too soon. This is what I was saying. Well, maybe it's possible some sperm was left around somehow, and somehow nature found a way. So sex too soon. Most often, I find a procedure fails when a couple has sex too soon after surgery. It takes several months for semen to be sperm-free after a vasectomy. Wow. That's kind of scary right there. And the only way to know is to have your semen tested. Until then, you can still get your partner pregnant. Wow, 7 months. Shit. That's why I tell my patients that they must use another method of birth control until they can have a semen sample tested and it shows 0 sperm count. Okay, well, that's news to me. I didn't know that. I didn't know it could be that long, but okay, it's possible. Snipped tubes reconnect rarely. We see one of the vas deferens reattach on its own. These are the 2 small tubes that transport semen from the testicles out through the penis. Small channels can form in scar tissue and allow sperm to wiggle through. This can happen at any point following the procedure, but it is more likely to occur sooner rather than later. I have yet to see it occur with one of my patients. Now, keep in mind, the doctor is saying, I've yet to see this occur, but he's leaving the possibility that it could occur. But that doesn't make it possible. Even he's saying he doesn't think that shit's possible. 3, and this is the thing to me that's more likely, surgical error. Even rarer are surgical errors. While the procedure is very simple and performed in office, errors can occur. During a vasectomy, I remove a small segment of the vas deferens and the rest is sealed. And I've seen the video on YouTube. The way they seal it is they take like a very hot metal element and they burn the end of the tube so that this way it's basically sealed and it's cauterized. However, if the tube is missed, most doctors will know if it has been because, these are fucking doctors. They can see whether the shit is bleeding or not. The procedure will not work. Having an anatomical variation or having had previous surgery in this area of your body can increase the risk of this happening. Okay, so those are the 3 reasons why it is possible that the vasectomy can fail. Now, while I was looking, not video, while I was looking at, I think it was image, nope. I was looking at news. Now, I want you to notice something. Post Roe versus Wade decision, they're saying that dudes are waking up and scrambling for vasectomies. It says Huffington Post. No, telling men to get vasectomies is not the answer right now. First of all, I've said this before, and I think I said this in another video. The health of the state is live births. If you are not reproducing and having children, as far as the government's concerned, you're worthless. One of the things that you people don't seem to understand, because you like to ask yourselves, well, why is it the government pays these welfare queens to have all these illegitimate children? Again, you have to understand the simple logic. The health of the state is live births. If you don't create enough children in order to be the debt slaves of the future, it's kind of like this. You have to look at these children and you have to look at them as if they're little cash registers. Their work and their labor are the future of this company. Well, this country. I should say country, but I want to say company because technically this place is being run like it's a corporation. So country, company, it's up to you. You can take whatever one you want. But the thing about it is, if you don't have enough children, you're going to end up like one of these shitty European countries like Hungary, where they're literally trying to bribe women into having children by offering them a free minivan. And you can look that up because it's true. Or you're going to end up like a country like Japan, where they have a negative birth rate and their population is aging. Or you're going to end up like Russia, where you're not having enough children and your population is aging. Or you're going to end up like a number of other parts of Europe. The key to America is America actually had a baby boom. America actually had millennials. America actually has Generation Z. Countries like China, where they've had, what is it called, the one-child policy, they've created such an imbalance of men and women until the Chinese men can't find wives to marry. When I lived in China, there was a problem with men kidnapping women, and then you had entire villages that were in on it, and the cops were in on it, and they literally kidnap women and make them brides in other parts of the country. Then there's countries like Kyrgyzstan, where if you're a female and you're like 15, you're basically expecting to get kidnapped by the time you're 15 because you're expecting to be a kidnapped bride. And that's the culture over there. It's fucked up, but that's the culture. So the reality is, live births are the health of the state. They will pay welfare money just to keep you having children. Why do you think the government never, ever made it illegal to have multiple children with multiple women? The government basically figures, hey, listen, if you're lucky enough to be getting that much sex, you might as well go out and have as many children as you can because there's so many of these lame dudes out here who aren't getting the sex, and we just need to keep this population moving. And that's the reality of it. And as dry as I'm telling it to you, that's just the reality of it. You can choose to accept it. You can choose not to.
And get their tubes tied after so many years, it can turn back into one tube. You know what I'm talking about?
Bro, listen here, bro.
The same thing happens with men. I ain't been with nobody but you, so you can
That's impossible because I can't have no kids. I have a vasectomy.
Well, you
talking about? I do everything for you. I take care of the house. I take care.
The scientist in me would like to give her the benefit of the doubt. Unfortunately, it takes 9 months to have this kid. And I'm not sure if it's possible to withdraw enough DNA to find out whether or not he's the father earlier than that 9 months. And see, this is the real problem with this cheating culture. The man has no idea whether or not that's his kid until it actually comes out. And even then, he has to basically have a DNA test done on himself and the kid just to make sure that that's actually his kid. Because chances are, if she's cheating on him, she's probably cheating on him with somebody of the exact same ethnic group. And if the kid comes out, it's gonna be like a kid that looks just like him. So my only thing is, As far as I'm concerned, all men, you should not be signing a birth certificate until you have a DNA test. And I know the women would like, oh, yeah, well, that's unfair and blah, blah. No, listen, that's all bullshit. You should not be signing a birth certificate until you have a DNA test. Once you got that DNA test and Maury says you are the father, that's when you sign that birth certificate.
Holding a camera on me for what?
Yeah, I'm holding the camera because I want to show how you ain't. That's why.
I'm not.
Yeah, you.
It's your baby.
It ain't my baby. It ain't my baby. And I know you. You got plenty of opportunities. You got plenty of opportunities. You know I'm on the road with my job. My job, everywhere I go on the road with my job, I ain't never.
Then why aren't you taking with you? You wouldn't have to work.
Because you can't. I'm at work.
Now, if I was her and I absolutely knew that I hadn't slept with anybody else, I would basically say, listen, hun, calm down. We'll go to the doctor. We'll have a DNA test, and I will prove to you that this is your baby. Maybe something went wrong with the vasectomy. Let me look it up right now on Google and see, can a vasectomy fail? But you can tell just from her demeanor that she knows that she's caught. And you could tell from her demeanor that you know that she's lying. And she's trying to wiggle out of it. She's wiggling. She's trying to get out of it. She knows that she's caught. And she refuses to fess up.
I'll take you with me.
He can't take you with those nails either.
What the?
I'm not putting the camera down.
to me
No,
respectfully.
no, I'm not putting the camera down because that's some that you got.
It's not.
Yes, you play the. Oh, who the dad? Who the dad? Who the dad?
You.
I'm not the dad.
Okay, so
I had a whole vasectomy, so how the I'm gonna be the dad?
Trying to change the issue. Oh, you're not being respectful. You can tell by her demeanor. Basically, it's like she's going through those Elizabeth Kubler-Ross stages of grief. The shock is over, and now it's switching over to anger. But eventually, it's going to turn into acceptance. She's going to accept the fact that she's probably going to have to get an abortion because he's not going to accept responsibility for this kid. But you can tell just from her demeanor, she knows she's caught. She's up there trying to flip this around, trying to turn the tables on him, and he's not going for it.
Who the father? Who the father? Who is the father?
That's why you need to tell me.
Who the father?
Are you not going to take care of this child?
It ain't mine. I'm not taking no child. It's not mine. Are you dumb?
So now,
Are you stupid?
So now I'm just somehow.
You can't be that stupid thing. I'm gonna take care of a baby that's not mine.
And for that 9 months that you're gestating and having that baby, for that 9 months, she's looking for someone to, quote unquote, take care of that child. And you could tell that she refuses to come clean. You could tell that she refuses to fess up. And you could tell that the only thing on her mind is what is she going to do for that 9 months that she's pregnant. It's a damn shame, but she did this to herself. She cheated. She didn't realize that this dude had himself fixed, and now she's caught. Now, again, there's always the possibility she could prove me wrong, and a DNA test could come out and say, hey, listen, nature found a way, and you're having this baby, and it's his. But somehow I just don't see that because I could tell just by the way she's acting, she's lying.
Put the camera down and then talk to me as a man.
You know what, bro?
I'm not going to do this.
He's hurt.
Bro,
I mean, of course.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm not
How
gonna,
you
bro.
going to do this?
Do
Yeah, she
what,
think.
man? Because I do
Because
it.
you know it's your fucking child.
Because
You know it's
bro,
your
it's
fucking
not.
child.
I know it's not my child because I had a whole vasectomy. I swear to God, bro. You out here sleeping around. But I just want to know what did I do to deserve it? What did I do to you? Just tell me what I did to you for you to.
You did to deserve this was you decided to bed this ratchet ass thought and you didn't realize that she was cheating on you. What you should have done was gotten your passport and you should have flown to a foreign country of your choosing and you should have found some younger, more faithful wife material in order to, get married and this, that, and other and have your family. Because if you mess with these modern American women, you're setting yourselves up for failure.
Huh?
If you want to talk to me, put the camera down.
I'm not.
You're sitting here
I'm not-
crying
I'm not-
over a baby that's yours. You should be smiling and being happy.
Now, this is the part where she's trying to say, oh, yeah, put the camera down. And then he starts losing it. And he's like, get the fuck out and blah, blah, blah. First of all, when you have this type of conversation or this type of confrontation, the best possible thing you can be doing is recording it. First of all, I have an Apple iPhone and I have an Apple Watch. I got 1 terabyte of storage. That means that I could literally record a conversation for the next week if necessary. And my Apple Watch can do the same thing. That thing can literally stay on and record a conversation for 3 or 4 hours. I know because I've done it before. You should absolutely, when you have any confrontation, you need to record it. There's some people online who'll tell you might even want to have cameras in your house and outside your house. Me personally, I'm not a fan of those Ring cameras and stuff because sometimes those things will actually catch your ass committing a crime and then the cops will pull the records and shit and then you'll be the one in jail. But that's aside the point. Listen, if you're going to have any confrontation, you should be recording that shit. So this way, the second somebody try to lie and say, oh, well, he hit me and blah, 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 you be like, no, officer, guess what? I've been recording this shit for the last 3 or 4 hours because I got the iPhone 1 terabyte. Not those shitty ass Samsung phones that only take video for like 30-second clips or some nonsense. And not those shitty ass Instagram Samsungs. No. You need yourself an iPhone so that this way you can record for hours. And then you just edit it down with iMovie. And that's your evidence that you didn't do nothing except you told this person, you're like, listen, you're cheating, get the fuck out. Furthermore, let me also say this. My houses, there's only one name on my deeds or titles. Only one name. Same thing goes for my cars. One name, my name. So there ain't no fucking community fucking property and you got to divvy shit up. Fuck that. No. Only one name's on my shit. And this day and age, when you're dealing with this ratchet ass shit, you better make sure that only your name is on everything. Because you best believe that they going to do the same thing to you. They going to make sure their name is on stuff. But you better make sure only your name's on the house. So this way, when the popo shows up and they're like, oh, well, whose house is this? All you got to do is pull out that scroll and roll that shit down for the cops. This is my house. She's the cheater. Take her, let her pack her shit, get her the fuck out of here.
Get the out. I'm gonna grab all you. I'll grab all you to put you out myself. Yeah, I'll put you out. You ain't that baby ain't mine. Get the out of my house, man. No, it's not. All right, so I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna call the police in and get the out of my house. Yeah, you got me up.
I'd just like to say that this society and this culture is backwards. It's completely out of whack. And if you women out there, if y'all are so stupid that you really think that the answer to getting around having careless abortions is to go and have your men get vasectomies, you're out of your minds. Because a man with a vasectomy is basically somebody who's out there who can sleep with just about anybody with absolutely no consequences whatsoever, with the exception of possibly spreading STDs. Because one of the fears ultimately is that people with vasectomies or people who've had their tubes tied are more likely to engage in sexual activity without having barrier protection such as condoms, female condoms, so forth and so on. So the issue is, if you think that your dude's cheating or if you think this chick is cheating, chances are she's going to be doing it even more if you decide to go out and have yourself fixed. And the reality is, first of all, it's terrible for society. It's terrible for the community to have all of this polygamy basically going on. And I really shouldn't say polygamy because polygamy is within the confines of marriage. What you're basically doing is you're just having a lot of free and liberal sex and nothing's coming out of it. The reason why these women are so mad about Roe versus Wade is because they wanted to simply be able to follow careers and basically waste their ovaries and waste their eggs while they're working for somebody to get this bag that they're going to get on their own, this bag of money that they think they're going to get on their own. And now you're already seeing with this recession, all that shit's falling apart. These women are losing those jobs, those wonderful corporate office jobs. They're losing them left and right. All of these companies are cutting these jobs. So these women thought that what they were going to do is they were just going to have carefree sex, and if they got pregnant, they're just going to abort the baby. Now, whether or not you're for abortion or not, My thing is having the men getting vasectomies is just as bad, because what you're doing is you're basically allowing your man to have the possibility of cheating on you without having any consequence, and you never even knowing about whether or not he did it, because now there's nobody to get pregnant, and it's just not going to happen. So in this case, you got this chick and she got basically caught. I'm fairly certain that if this continues and if there's even more in this story, they going to do a DNA test on whatever comes out of her, and they going to find out that that guy is not it. And that's just the way I see it, because granted, I read to you that there's 3 possible ways a vasectomy could fail. I really don't believe that any of them apply here, honestly. Now, granted, there's always the Jurassic Park example that Jeff Goldblum said, nature finds a way. Yeah, but I really don't think that happened here. I really think that she's a cheater based on her own behavior in being confronted. I think she's cheating. This is some ratchet ass shit, and y'all need to be smarter. But whether you're smart or not, it ain't gonna matter, because while y'all fucking up, all you're doing is giving me more content.
When it comes to the matter of baby Jesus, Joseph, you are not the father. It's okay.